Greetings, Minecrafters, and welcome to another Minecraft discussion on this glorious day in my very cheerful office. It's actually a bit chilly in here right now, which is why I have my vest on. But I love my office, no matter what the temp. It's just like the best thing ever. Okay. So my name is Kimberly Quinn, and I am your hostess with the mostest, working on getting it out there as much as possible, how important it is to become the boss of your brain. Oh, look what I have. I didn't even plan it. This is what my Minecrafters get in the beginning of class, and also my Defense Against the Dark Arts wizards get that too. Learning to become the boss of your brain. So today what I'd like to talk about is being willing to release old patterns. And we've talked about this in some ways before, because when it comes right down to it, we teach people how to treat us. We talked about that. So there's all kinds of different negative patterns, right? We always want to keep the positive ones. We're talking about releasing the negative ones. Really, when it comes down to it, I remember Dr. Phil used to say this years ago, you kind of get to that like awareness, like aha moment that this isn't working for me anymore. Because the thing is, we as human beings will continue to do anything if there's payoff in it. And people tend to think that payoff means that it's good, but no, that's not true. Payoff can be self-punishment. That's a super strong reinforcer. When we are, very into self-blame and all that, it's like, oh, there I go again, smack. And that's actually highly reinforcing. So we don't continue to do things when they cease to have a reward to them. Again, not necessarily positive, okay, but we're reinforcing it. Okay, so some of them are, let's say, resenting other people. And there are more than this. We'll only cover a few because you'll get the point. Resenting other people. I mean, that is just resentment. When I think of resentment, I think of heavy barbells, like in a gym, like the big ones, like the free ones. It's just heavy. Resenting other people means they are living rent-free in your head. Like their feet are up on the table, they're leaning back on your couch, beer fridge to the right, drinking your beer, eating your snacks in your head, no rent, just loving life, okay? And the thing is, when we resent people, we're walking around with them in our head, right? In reality, they're out. They might be at a concert. They might just be at the grocery store. They're somewhere, but they don't even know. And here, whatever they did 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, they're not thinking about you. and here they are taking even more than you gave them the first time. It does not give the person a pass. No one is saying that. However, that's a fancy way to say but, right? Wayne Dyer says there are no justified resentments. Doesn't mean they get a pass. They could have done something horrible to you, but hanging on to it and hanging on to that grudge is obviously only hurting you. So that's one of them. Guilt and blame. The thing with guilt is basically a gigantic waste of emotional energy. I mean, it's got a purpose, which is to keep us from slashing people's tires, punching people in the schnozy, that sort of thing. So it has that sort of initial use. After that, though, we really need to let it go. Hopefully, apologize, try to fix it the best you can if it's even possible. But the thing is to just hang on to guilt. Guilt goes looking for punishment the high majority of the time. So beating ourselves up with a guilt stick isn't going to fix anything, ever. And all it does is take away from all that positive you energy that you could, use to turn things around. Maybe not even necessarily with the same person. That person may not even, wherever you did whatever to, may not even be on this planet anymore. But that energy could be used to turn something else around in a loving, kind way. And the guilt is just a waste. It's like battery acid, bad news. Another thing that really hurts us is fear. Fear really doesn't go anywhere good. The one exception is if we sort of realize we're being chased by a mountain lion and there's a hole really close we could jump in, pull the door shut. That would be a good use of fear. But other than that immediate threat situation, fear is so destructive. Decisions are definitely not, we don't make the best decisions when we're in a fear place. We are not able to be creative when we're in a fear place. We're not able to be loving or kind as much when we're in a fear place. Fear is just bad news and wreaks havoc in the body. Havoc, ulcers and all kinds of digestive stuff and heart stuff, and never mind, it's just miserable up here. Just really bad. We want to release it all. And then there's criticisms. There are more of these, but I just figure I picked 4. criticism and self-criticism, criticizing ourselves or anyone else, we criticize other people, that is obviously say more about us than them. We're judging, and that isn't something that's a good habit to get into. We can also be super hard on ourselves, which is interesting, because I actually wasn't thinking of that at this minute when I was about ready to do this quick podcast here. Is I'm having like a little discussion group going on in a little over an hour with students, and this is part 1 of 4 with the ACOA stuff. And one of the biggest things, even though that isn't the topic of now, is for adult children of alcoholics, we tend to be very, very hard on ourselves. It took me a long time to really work through that part. And the deal is, since we grow up in that way and kind of learn, that's been mirrored for us, we can grow up to have this habit of being hard on ourselves. But here's the deal. That stuff's residing in the unconscious mostly, and since we teach people how to treat us, if we're hard on ourselves, we're also teaching other people to be hard on us too, which then reinforces what we're already doing to ourselves. And it's a vicious, self-reinforcing cycle. So what we really need to do is consciously release these patterns, and we have to really sort of take a hard look at the thoughts that are rolling through our heads, because remember this, as we think, so shall we be. Wayne Dyer says that, and so like a million other people, right? Oprah and just the greatest thinkers ever, Eckhart Tolle, they all say the same thing. So we have to challenge those, because about 95% of what we think, feel, and do every single day is coming from the vault of the unconscious mind. So the first thing is to bring it into awareness, and then once we have the awareness, we have the responsibility. Another great thinker, Dr. Dave, because we have to realize, okay, like Dr. Phil says, we have to kind of realize that it's no longer working for us, or maybe it still is partially, because we're getting that feel good from not being treated well, which is very codependent, right? And we're aware of it. Like, I just got a jolt of feel good from being mistreated. And so, but we're aware of it. That's such a huge step, because we cannot do what we do not know. And that's when we decide and talk back to it. I am releasing this pattern of feeling comfortable not being treated well. I am releasing this pattern of resenting others. This habit, habit, same, right? I'm releasing this pattern or habit of beating myself with a guilt stick. Okay, I'm releasing the habit of blaming myself and other people. Taking authentic accountability, one thing. Continuing to blame, no good. It all just leads to shame. And we know what shame is, right? Guilt, different from guilt. Guilt says I made a mistake. Shame says I am the mistake. And all these things lead right back to shame, which means, some basic shame words are defective, deficient, flawed, not enough, all those feelings. And there is nothing more excruciating for a human to feel than those. All these bad negative patterns lead straight to there. I'm releasing fear from my consciousness. I'm releasing fear. One thing that works for me, actually, which is actually the 12 steps kind of, and I know that the recovery programs have some really good one-liners. So the day at a time one, you can turn that into one day at a time. You can turn that into something specific, which I do a lot. So today, like when I do my intention, today I am not going to be afraid of anything. Most of us can handle what happens in one day. And obviously you can get those like life-changing curveball phone calls, but thank goodness most of life is not an emergency. Like the high majority of life is not an emergency. In fact, it's not even an urgency. Most of it, the high majority of it, is small stuff. Yet we live in so much pain and agony and torture with fear, and most of which never even happens. So what I say in the morning sometimes, if I'm having a day like that, thankfully it isn't too often, is today I am not going to be afraid, or my intention is to be fear-free today, or free of fear today. And then another one is, I'm releasing the pattern of criticizing. I'm releasing the habit of criticizing. I'm not going to criticize anybody else. and I am not going to criticize myself on this day. And watch when we start to challenge those thoughts, okay? Because thoughts, when they grow up, they become beliefs. And when that's a positive thing, that's awesome, because that is getting right in your hard drive. Because the next step, let's just stay with the positive for a second. The next step, once you've kind of really moved out of thought to belief, and it's in your hard drive, it's really locked in your hard drive, locked in your hard drive. When it becomes a belief, turns into a knowing. I know that I'm confident. It's a good thing to think you're confident, because then you're getting there. The next thing is to really believe you're confident. Awesome. To know, really know, as in unwavering faith in yourself, knowing you're confident, you're off and running. You got the world by the ass with that one. So this is what we're talking about, because when we get to that self-acceptance point, and we're not talking about perfection. We know I don't like the P word. You're better off dropping the F-bomb than holding the bar for yourself up there. And we also have different, we're going to feel differently. Even if we made a ton of progress, we might wake up not feeling well. Well, maybe you've made great progress with being confident, not beating yourself with a guilt stick, not resenting other people, not criticizing, not feeling fearful. And like you wake up not feeling well, you might not feel so confident when you've been throwing up all night, right? I mean, it's just how it is. So just take that with a grain and just tell yourself you're going to start over right now at this minute. It could be 11:23 and you're starting over right at this minute, because here's the thing. The minute you really start to shift out of the thought into the belief towards the knowing, the thing is, all these other people that are not treating you well, for whatever in whatever way they're not treating you well, looking down at you, not taking you seriously, all the other ways people cannot not treat you well, is they'll move on to somebody else and they won't even know why. Because you're not putting it out there anymore that you're willing to be treated that way. So what they will do, sad for the next person, but they will move on to somebody else who's putting it out there. They're not there yet, like you are. Then hopefully they will get there. They are not there yet, and so they're putting it out like, find me flares, like you're on an island. Find me, come on, the door's wide open to mistreat me and not take me seriously and be sarcastic with me and blah, 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 and to get me to do everything extra at work and to make brownies for the PTO, every single meeting we have, and to clean up afterwards. Find me. They'll go latch right onto that person like a barnacle on their ass. That's how it works, because we teach people how to treat us. But they will get these like invisible confidence strength waves. And by the way, authentic confidence is is the number one attractor for people, whether it's male and male, male and female, female and female, or anywhere in between. Authentic confidence, not fakey, because that's just fakey. That's not real confidence. And authentic confidence is the number one attractor. And it's everything we need is already in the toolbox. We talked about it, right? Win from within. None of it is out here. Zero. Okay? The divine in you, everything you got is right there. And it needs to bring it to the surface. Really allow it to come to the surface. I love that word. We just need to allow it to come to the surface, and then we can make a shift, release those old patterns, and then enter the new ones. Like Wayne Dyer says, you got to clean out the junk first, then enter the new patterns of authentic confidence, and all things authentic, and watch your world, your own reality, turn right around, because you will be riding on your high vibe frisbee. Wah! Being your high vibe self. This is Kimberly Quinn signing off from my very cheerful office at Champlain College in Northern Vermont. Have a mindful day.